Hi guys, let me show you what I've been doing. There was somebody on online on the forum and was installing all kinds of things, you know, this version, that version, with this distribution, that distribution. It's always the same thing, always the same advice that we give you. Stop multi-booting, right? Just take one operating system, choose. If it's Manjaro, it's Manjaro. If it's EndeavourOS, if it's Garuda, use one operating system on one SSD and one hard disk. But I did do something that I've already shown you, and maybe it's a good thing to tell you that Calamares is awesome, and just now there's a new release again, so every single time it's free, it's open source, it's gonna help so many Linux systems to come on your computer system, right? So Calamares is great, and the article that we have is superb, right? Calamares here on anarchist.com. These are the facts. This is what people always ask about us, installing and burning and installing and Scala and VirtualBox. All right, so I have already made so many videos about Calamares, about Windows and Windows 11 and all that. And here we have installing 4 operating systems on one hard disk. Basically, I've redone it. Let's see. We can go to the YouTube video, and now we have some idea when it was created. We are now at 2600, right? So this was a few years ago, and it is still working. Now, when does this make sense? Well, let's first I'll teach more stuff than just, hey, you can have more partitions and more versions next to each other. But let us first get to a nicer look, because this is QEMU VirtualBox, but then it's Word Manager and QEMU rather than VMware, and apply and close this thing. And then we go back to the full screen. Would you like to keep it? Yes, please. So now we're talking normally, right, in 1920, 1080. And this is ISO. This is the ArcoLinux XS. That means it's super small, lots of empty space here. Why? Because there is almost no applications, no categories, there's nothing installed, so very, very basic indeed, and no browsers. It's up to you to figure it all out. So that's the XS version, right? Now let me show you Gpart. That's always in start, because we need to have a visual. I think it's important to have this application to know, voila, that's what we have, right? Think about it. I have a virtual machine, a hard disk, a virtual hard disk, right, of 200 gigabyte, just for fun and to show the people on the forum there that it's possible to still, like in the past, still divide your hard disk into pieces. Your real metal or your virtual machine doesn't matter, right? You choose to install more than one ArcoLinux. ArcoLinux D, ArcoLinux B, ArcoLinux XL, ArcoLinux XS. Does that make sense? Up to you. Technically, it's possible. There's one thing that I would say, yeah, why not, right? If you say, I have ArcoLinux XL, it's all working just fine, everything is there, sound is there, Bluetooth is there, and printing, it's all there, and then try to learn your steps in an ArcoLinux D version, where you have less packages and you have to think, okay, what am I missing? Arch, Wiki, printing, Arch, Wiki, Samba, Arch, Wiki, Bluetooth, and you start learning and reading all the code. And I say, Eric did this in the ArcoLinux XL. It did this in the ArcoLinux XS. You can see what's installed, right? You can just open PAMAC, it's red here, and you know what is installed. What packages do we have installed? All the red things means you can remove them, which means it's installed. And all the other guys, somewhere down here, there will be some other guys, the blue guys, are not installed. You can install them. So you can learn from partition to partition, so move from partition to partition and learn, okay, so now it's working and the other partition is not working. But it's a choice. That's all I want to say. If you want to do it, fine. Let's navigate over to all these things. I don't really know what I think it's last in the line there. Let's see. I think it was what we just saw was here, I believe. So we have all these choices. Let's go for the first one and go all the way here. So this one is clearly not XFCE. SuperC, Bicon key, we don't need you. Ctrl-Alt-T, ISO. This partition has been installed with the ArcoLinux B left WM ISO. Fine. It's small because the fact that it's a tiling window manager, and in a tiling window manager, in short, you have to tell everything. It has to be somewhere in a file where it launches an application, right? And there are enough tutorials to go over that. That would take us too long. But a render is something I can quickly show, but it's not gonna be there by default if I reboot. So you need to do more, but immediately you see already the effect. So that's that. Okay, and now it thinks it finishes here. You reload whatever tiling manager you have, Super Shift R, and then it knows it has now 1920 and 1080, right? Then there are a few steps and then it's forever and ever. Okay, so that's this partition. Okay, let's reboot. Now you can reboot with a second line. So the first one is left up. Yeah, let's try to remember it. Then the second line. That's ArcoLinux D actually. Actually is ISO ArcoLinux D. And I selected some things, right? In this case, JWM. Same goes here. I need to have a render and so on. But once you've seen it, it's enough, I guess. Super X, log out. Line number 3, oops, reboot. We need to go to Groppa to make the choice what to boot from. This can be Excel, I wonder. Control ISO, that's the Excel. This is easy. This is desktop. Desktops are easy. Start with that, guys. If you're new to Linux, don't start with ArcoLinux or start with ArcoLinux D. Start with ArcoLinux Excel. You see how easy it is. Apply it. Keep this configuration, and this will indeed, if you reboot, be there. It will have the resolution you want. So that's line number 3, I guess, and then the last one, and we're back to this one, and you have seen them all. There you go, 1920, 1080, and this one is the XS. So that's it for me. I mean, everything is working fine. If you want to do that, that's something else. If you need to do that, maybe, right? If you have no financial possibility to have several PCs and try this and there, then maybe you put everything into a virtual machine and learn that way. All right, have fun.